He was an action hero, a cultural icon, and a martial arts legend on the verge of true global superstardom. Bruce Lee was far more than a man who knew how to fight on screen. He reshaped action cinema and inspired millions of people across generations and cultures. At the peak of his fame, his sudden death shocked the world, and for decades afterward, people have questioned what truly caused it. Even now, new theories continue to surface, offering explanations that may surprise even his most devoted fans. Bruce Lee was born on November 27, 1940, in San Francisco's Chinatown, at a moment when the world was on the brink of enormous upheaval. His parents, Lee Hoi-chun and Grace Ho, were in the United States as part of a touring Cantonese opera company. According to Chinese astrology, Bruce was born in the hour and year of the dragon, a time traditionally associated with strength and greatness. In honor of this, his Chinese stage name became Li Xiulong, Li the Little Dragon. His birth name, Li Junfan, carried a different meaning altogether: return again, a hope from his mother that he would one day come back to America. Just 4 months after Bruce was born, his family returned to Hong Kong. What followed was anything but peaceful. By December of that same year, Japan had launched a brutal invasion of Hong Kong, beginning 4 years of occupation during the Second World War. Bruce's earliest years were shaped by that occupation. Food shortages, violence, and constant uncertainty were part of daily life. While most children his age were simply playing, Bruce was learning how to survive in a city under military control. His connection to film began almost by accident. He appeared as an infant in the movie Golden Gate Girl, carried on stage in the background of one scene. As he grew, his natural screen presence became obvious. At just 9 years old, he starred in The Kid, a film based on a popular local comic character. By the time he turned 18, Bruce had already appeared in roughly 20 films, an extraordinary resume for someone barely out of childhood. But success on screen didn't shield him from turmoil at home. In the early 1950s, his father developed an opium addiction, which added strain and instability to the household. Around the same time, Bruce struggled in school. He first attended Tak Sun School near his family's home in Kowloon, but poor academic performance and behavioral issues eventually led to his transfer to St. Francis Xavier's College in 1956. He was sharp and full of energy, but he chafed against rules, and his rebellious streak regularly got him into trouble that would soon push him toward the discipline of martial arts. By age 13, Bruce's life was already defined by conflict and restless energy. In 1953, a friend named William Chung introduced him to the renowned Wing Chun master Ip Man. Bruce had been getting into an increasing number of street fights, and Chung believed formal martial arts training might give him some much-needed structure. Ip Man was one of the most respected teachers in Hong Kong, and many young men trained under him. When Bruce first tried to join, however, he was turned away, not because of his ability, but because of his ancestry. His mother, Grace Ho, was of mixed Chinese and European heritage, and in the traditionally closed world of Chinese martial arts, that made Bruce an outsider. Many masters at the time believed Kung Fu should be reserved exclusively for full-blooded Chinese students. It was only after William Chung intervened on Bruce's behalf that Ip Man agreed to teach him. Even then, some of the other students resisted training alongside him because of his mixed background. Eventually, Bruce trained privately, alongside a small circle that included Chung and fellow student Wang Shunlong. From the beginning, Bruce approached martial arts with total intensity. It wasn't a pastime, it was closer to an obsession. He trained constantly, always pushing to improve, all while continuing to get into street fights. In 1958, he was involved in a rooftop brawl with students from a rival school, Choi Lee Fut. When one of them struck first, Bruce retaliated hard enough to knock out one of the boy's teeth. The injured student's family went to the police, and the situation nearly resulted in serious legal consequences. Bruce's mother had to personally take responsibility at the police station, without even telling his father, and she made a decision. Bruce needed to leave Hong Kong before things escalated further. Before that departure, though, Bruce built quite a reputation. That same year, he won the Hong Kong Inter-School Boxing Championship, knocking out the reigning champion, Gary Elms, in the final round, proof that his skills translated to Western-style boxing as well. Around the same period, he also won the Crown Colony CHA Dancing Championship, showing off the same physical gifts, rhythm, timing, and precise control, that made him stand out in everything he attempted. Fearing that Bruce would either end up in prison or attract dangerous attention, his parents sent him back to the country of his birth. At 18, he arrived in San Francisco to stay with his older sister, Agnes, before soon relocating to Seattle to begin an entirely new chapter of his life, one that would eventually lead him to build his own martial art and challenge long-held traditions. Arriving in the United States in 1959, 18-year-old Bruce Lee left the turmoil of Hong Kong behind. After a brief stay with his sister in San Francisco, he moved to Seattle, where he enrolled at Edison Technical School to complete his high school education. To support himself, he worked as a live-in waiter for Ruby Chow, a family friend who ran a restaurant. His schedule was demanding, long hours of work paired with schoolwork, but Bruce still found time to pursue what mattered most to him, martial arts. In his spare time, he began teaching what he called Jun Fan Gung Fu, his personal interpretation of the Wing Chun style he'd learned in Hong Kong, blended with ideas from other traditional Chinese systems. Even at this early stage, he was already experimenting, adapting techniques he felt would hold up better in real confrontations rather than sticking rigidly to tradition. His very first student was Jesse Glover, an African-American judo practitioner who was struck by Bruce's speed and precision. From there, his group of students steadily grew. What set Bruce's classes apart was their openness. At a time when many martial arts schools remained closed to people outside their own ethnic community, Bruce welcomed everyone. Black, white, Asian, Latino, it didn't matter. If someone wanted to learn, he would teach them. This was an unusual, even radical, stance in the early 1960s, reflecting Bruce's core belief that martial arts should belong to everyone, not be guarded by one group. In 1961, Bruce enrolled at the University of Washington, officially studying drama, though he often said philosophy was what truly shaped how he thought. He absorbed ideas from both Eastern and Western traditions and worked to apply them practically to his life and training. Money was tight, he lived modestly, washing dishes to get by, but that never slowed his progress. Over time, he built friendships across social and economic lines, including with some of Seattle's wealthier families, drawn in by his confidence and intensity. By 1964, Bruce had reached a turning point. He was invited to perform at the Long Beach International Karate Championships in California, a major event in the martial arts world, and he made the most of the exposure. He stunned audiences with feats like two-finger push-ups, supporting his entire body weight on just his thumb and index finger, and his now famous one-inch punch, a strike capable of sending a much larger man flying backward with almost no visible wind-up. But his growing prominence, and his refusal to gatekeep martial arts by race, would soon draw him into one of the most disputed confrontations in martial arts history. By the early 1960s, Bruce Lee had become a recognized name on the West Coast martial arts scene. He had opened schools, built a diverse student base, and openly challenged deeply rooted traditions, most controversially, his insistence on teaching students of every background. Many in the Chinese martial arts community at the time believed Kung Fu should be passed down only within their own community. Bruce rejected that idea outright, insisting that martial arts belonged to anyone willing to learn, regardless of race or background. That disagreement escalated into a confrontation that would shadow Bruce for the rest of his career. According to his wife, Linda Lee, Chinese martial arts elders in San Francisco were unhappy that Bruce was, in their view, exposing closely guarded techniques to outsiders. When he refused to stop, a challenge was arranged. Wong Jackman, a martial artist recently arrived from China, would fight Bruce to settle the dispute. The match took place in 1964, behind closed doors at Bruce's school in Oakland. There were no cameras, and only a handful of witnesses were present. From that point on, the truth of what actually happened became almost impossible to pin down, because every account differed. Linda Lee described a fight that lasted only about 3 minutes, with Bruce moving quickly and aggressively while Wong struggled to keep up before eventually conceding. In her account, Bruce won clearly, though he was frustrated afterward not by the outcome, but by how long it had taken, feeling his technique hadn't been efficient enough. Other witnesses remembered it very differently. William Chen, who was present, recalled a fight lasting 20 to 25 minutes with no clear winner, saying Bruce struggled to land solid hits while Wong deliberately held back his strongest kicks out of respect. In Chen's view, essentially a draw. Wong Jackman's own account differed further still. He claimed Bruce opened with a feigned handshake before launching a sudden, aggressive attack, and that Bruce fought less like a skilled